So now we'll head into a stretch where Nebraska has a little bit of time off.
They do.
They have some days to get their feet under them, kind of recalibrate after the egregious loss at Penn State. And then, welcome back to your last stretch of the regular season. Here's Michigan.
Yeah.
So that'll be on Monday. I don't know if you've talked to Fred Hoiberg and them yet. I'm assuming
we talk to them tomorrow.
Well, what are your keys then? Not necessarily theirs, but what are your keys to Nebraska getting back on track against one of the best teams in the Big Ten, I would say?
Yeah. I mean, statistically, the best. I don't know personally that I mean, I had Wisconsin number 1 in my power rankings, but anyway, honestly,
because it's not projected to be a blowout.
No.
Like
Ken Palm's pretty conservative with that.
Ken Palm has it as a 2-point game. I'll check what a couple of other places have it.
While you're checking that out, I will say I think one of the biggest things is Berke Buchtengel's availability. Michigan starts 2 7-footers. And it's not just 2 7-footers; it is 2 really good, skilled 7-footers. They run pick and rolls with 2 7-footers, like one screening for the other, and Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. And
it's kind of an anomaly.
It is.
How not just that they play 2 centers, that those 2 centers are as skilled and complement each other as well as they do. It is insane.
Yeah. And the thing is, so that's going to be that is an all hands on deck game for Nebraska. And I can't see them beating Michigan without Berke. I think they need Berke. They need Braxton Mia to be the guy he was against Northwestern, frankly. He had his best game of the season. In that comeback, he was huge. But, they need all the bodies they can get, and they need them, they need to match that physicality. Because you play a team that starts 2 7-footers and you shrink from the moment, they are going to make Nebraska's life hell if Nebraska doesn't match that physicality and body them. And I think the 2 most important people in that are Berke Buchtengel and Braxton Mia.
Evan Mia has it as a 3-point game, just like Ken Palm.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine any situation in which Nebraska gets blown out on its home court. That's just not the version of this team we have seen at PBA over the past 2 years.
Unless Creighton comes.
No, that's the only one. That's the crazy
Isn't that
thing.
Nuts?
Yeah.
Purdue's been there. Wisconsin's been there.
Yep.
And it hasn't mattered.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And even, they lost some games this year, but, they were all close at home. But, yeah, I think that is the biggest thing. I mean, we talk a lot about, and it's a pretty common thread with Nebraska of winning the glass, preventing the other team from getting offensive rebounds. But I think against Michigan, that is more paramount than anyone. And a big part of that is, again, getting back probably their best rebounder, best shot blocker, best interior defender in Berke Buchtengel.
And in a game where it's a non-negotiable to have him. If I think he will.
Yeah,
In a world where Berke doesn't play Monday, that screams danger.
Yeah,
for Nebraska.
If he doesn't, I think it would make sense to have Braxton Mia start. Just to start. If the options are him or Andrew Morgan, start the power over the finesse. Against a team like Michigan.
Yeah.
I think that would make sense. Whether Berke plays or not, I think they're going to have to lean on Braxton a lot just because he has the capacity for this physicality and length to counter what Michigan is going to be throwing at him.
If Nebraska, looking at their remaining schedule, Michigan, Minnesota at home, at Ohio State, rematch against Iowa at PBA. I don't think maybe the home loss to Minnesota, borderline the loss to Iowa, but none of these games are going to kill you.
No.
But
they do need to win a couple of them.
They do.
Especially after that Penn State loss just narrowed the
But if they beat
for
Michigan, if they found a way to beat Michigan, I think they're
yeah
as close to a lock as you can be for a 9 seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. Like, that would be a giant step forward.
I don't know. Maybe a couple of SEC teams would because of the metrics and whatever, but I don't know how many other teams on the bubble would be able to say they have a win over Illinois, a win over Creighton,
road win at Oregon, UCLA,
and a win over Michigan.
Yeah,
like I just don't. I don't like. There's not a team on the bubble.
Yeah.
I think that would that'd be able to stack their resume against Nebraska's and say, yeah, we deserve Nebraska's 9 seed.
The bubble's really weak this year. I mean, we were talking.
Oh, let's expand the tournament.
Joe Lunardi has Arkansas in the field. Arkansas, the team that is 4-9 in conference play and has beaten 2 good teams all season.
I'm not a fan of it.
I needed to get that one off my chest.
You should. Shout out Anthony Christensen.
Yes, shout out Anthony Christensen.
If he listens,
I doubt he does. I mean, I'll tell him he got a shout out.
Sure.
But I won't tell him when, so he has to listen to the whole thing if he wants to hear his name.
Sucker. And anyway, it'll be a big stretch for Nebraska. They'll only play Michigan before the next time we talk, because we'll flush out that game, and then they have Minnesota at home on the horizon. So we'll get to that next week. But Creighton's going to host Georgetown on Sunday. Again, a week between games. The loss to St. John's at the Garden. There were 19,000 people there. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
St. John's sold out Madison Square Garden. And it was also...
Who do they think they are? The Rolling Stones?
The Rolling Stones. And, FS1 said that Creighton St. John's is the second highest watched Big East game on that network of all time. Regular season game.
It's wild.
The first one was number 1 still with like averaging 700,000 plus viewers. Creighton UConn last year in Omaha. So Creighton draws, man. 19,000 at the Garden. the 2 highest watched games on Big East regular season games on FS1. Creighton's a draw.
Clearly.
And they're going to draw Georgetown in the rematch on Sunday. Georgetown won the first meeting by 24.
That's still crazy.
In mid-December. It was the Big East opener for Creighton. And they went to Georgetown and lost by 24. Insane. Yeah. Now, that was their third game. Third game without Pop Isaacs. Obviously still adjusting to life without their second primary ball handler and at the time third leading scorer. Or second leading scorer, I think. Yeah, I think he was ahead of Ashworth at the time, behind Ryan. So it was a huge blow. They were still adjusting, and Micah Peavy, TCU transfer that Creighton recruited this offseason, wrecked the game, especially in the second half. It was close for the first half, and then he just kind of blew the thing open. Yeah, they were down 20. They were down 34-28 at half. That's still a game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's 2 possessions.
And then by the end of 10 minutes into the second half, it was 59-40.
Crazy.
Yeah. A lot of it, Micah Peavy just hounded Stephen Ashworth. Like, they suffocated Creighton's ball handlers. Georgetown's defense absolutely wrecked that game, and in large part because of Micah Peavy. He had 28 and 8 and 7 steals that night. He had 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 steals.
Flirting with a
double.
Quadruple double. Yeah.
So an unreal night, and he hasn't really he had a couple of dips in between then, because that was 2 months ago, obviously. But over the last 5 games, Micah Peavy has been unreal again. So Creighton is way different now. They talked about that on Friday. Jackson McAndrew and Greg McDermott both said after that loss in mid-December that it was embarrassing. And they didn't need to say that for everyone to know it. I think at the time, Georgetown's only other win in the past like couple seasons was like DePaul. And so it was like, this is not good. 24-point. Now, they're way different this year with Ed Cooley in his second year, and they have a lot of talent. But it was like 24-point loss at Georgetown? What? No way. And so they're going to try and avoid that Sunday. They'll have Ryan Kalkbrenner healthy, Greg McDermott said. He said he's fine. He's expected to be, what Greg McDermott said, a full go Sunday against Georgetown. So I guess the foot or ankle, we're still not really sure. He grabbed at his foot specifically. So whatever he tweaked seems fine. He practiced Friday. Didn't really have any limitations, it looked like. And he'll be a full go. But that matchup will really depend on how well Creighton can handle Georgetown's pressure. Because the Jays certainly did not when they played the first time. I think they're in a lot better position now than they were 3 games into life without Pop Isaacs. I don't know if this is fair to do, Wilson, but I think Sunday's a benchmark game, even if it's against Georgetown.
Yeah, just how they've developed since that night in December.
Yeah. Like, because if Georgetown walks into CHI on Sunday and does the same thing, I don't think they will. Yeah. But if they did, it's not a good blueprint for somebody to lay out 3 weeks before the NCAA tournament. When Creighton is still trying to chase a Big East regular season championship, because with a little bit of help from St. John's or, I guess, UConn or Marquette or whoever could beat St. John's, is still within Creighton's grasp, which is nuts to say after how this team started. Because if you would have told me that after a 24-point loss at Georgetown to open conference play, I would have said, oh, buddy. I want what you're on, and that's not the team that we've come to know, that we've come to expect from Creighton over the last 6 weeks, really, because they've been drastically different. Wilson, it's almost award season. We're right about there. We're going to talk about awards drastically different, just compared to where Nebraska is compared to where Creighton is. But who are the Huskers that you think could make a Big Ten team, and where do you think they'd fall?
Well, obviously Bryce Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if he's first team All Big Ten. It's not a guarantee for my money. The guarantees on the first team All Big Ten are Omaha's own John Tonje, Braden Smith, and Trey Kaufman-Run. And then there are 2 spots left for some combination of Bryce Williams, Dawson Garcia, either of Michigan's big guys. But I think Bryce would have my vote right now for one of those last 2 spots. So Bryce Williams for all Big Ten teams. Okay. He's got I think he's got a decent chance at first team. I think his floor is second team. And from there, Jawan Gary, all defensive team.
Absolutely. I'd say.
He has a case,
I would say.
I think that's about it. They have 2 freshmen. They're both redshirting. So
no freshman of the year.
No.
No player of the year. No.
I mean, look.
Who's going to be Big Ten player of the year?
Either Tonje or Braden Smith. If you had asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said Braden Smith. No question. No one is close. But now Tonje has just been on. Purdue has stumbled a little bit. Yeah. Smith hasn't been at his best in the past week or 2, and Tonje has just been on another planet. Yeah. I think it's going to be a razor-thin margin between those 2.
It didn't help Smith's case that Wisconsin beat Purdue.
No, it didn't. And Tonje went off in that game.
So,
but I don't know. I mean, look, if Bryce goes nuclear in the last 4 games, he could have a case. I mean,
sure. Yeah, if he dropped 35 on 30, if he averaged
if he did what Tonje did the past 2 weeks, then
let's see what Ken Pom has that their ratings for Big Ten Conference. So they're all Ken Pom team right now. In order would be Braden Smith, John Tonje, nuts. Trey Kaufman-Renn.
Yeah.
Derek Queen. I'm a big fan of
Derek Queen. He was incredible
Yes.
when Maryland was in
Yes.
town. He was the difference in that game.
And then Danny Wolf
Danny Wolf.
from Michigan. Not one of the big guys.
Yeah, he's one of the big guys.
Yeah. Vlad and Danny Wolf.
Yeah.
So that would be Ken Palm's first team.
I forgot to mention
All-Big Ten.
Derek Queen in that discussion. Like I said, I think the first three are given, and then Bryce, the two Michigan big guys, Dawson Garcia and Derek Queen.
Those would be your first and second teams?
So that's what, 4 guys for 2 spots. Then the others would be on the second team and go from there.
I think now here's where our discourse gets a little different, because I think Ryan Kalkbrenner is probably the Big East player of the year, not just DPOY.
I mean, he's certainly the Big East.
He's certainly the Big East DPOY.
Yeah. I mean, who are the other options? Like who?
It'd be Stevie Mitchell. Drastically different defenders. One's like a hard-nosed on-ball defender, and one is a 7'1" rim protector.
Yeah.
Drastically different. Yeah. But the way that teams have talked about Ryan Kalkbrenner all season, you'd have to think that the coaches are going to vote for him. Like the same coaches that voted for him to win the past 3 DPOYs.
Yeah.
Why would they not vote for him to win a 4th?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if so, then he's going to enter rare air, because the only other person to have won 4 Big East Defender of the Year awards, Patrick Ewing.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. I've heard.
He was not bad. He was all
right.
He was adequate at Georgetown.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he was all right. You talking about coaching or playing?
He had that one like kind of Linsanity run when they made the tournament in whatever year that was.
Yeah. And then, really good player.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
So no, it'd be rare air for Kalk. I think he's Big East Player of the Year. Here's kind of what I've landed on, because I'm not just saying that because I cover Creighton.
No.
I want to make that very clear. If 2 guys have not the same, I want to make that clear, not the same, but similar offensive outputs. Cam Jones is a way different scorer than Ryan Kalkbrenner is. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a way different scorer than Cam Jones is. If they have similar offensive outputs, the guy who's also in the conversation, at the very least, for Defender of the Year has to be your Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think that's a very sound argument.
Like I just like if they're like their teams are going to finish relatively the same in the standings, like Creighton can win the league obviously, and then I think that would just kind of seal it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't. Again, their teams are going to finish similarly in the standings. They split the head-to-head matchups. They both played well in the rematch. Kalk did not play well in the first meeting. Cam Jones didn't play well in the first meeting until the final 10 minutes, I think. And so either way, it's 1-1. You can't take the head-to-head on another. Similar offensive outputs. Similar teams finish, which I guess we still don't know, but you'd assume. Similar finishes in the Big East. But only one of those guys is the league's best defender.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of I take Kalk as the Creighton's first Big East Player of the Year since Doug. How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Poetic.
Yeah, it really is. Some would say the 2 greatest players in program history.
I think most would say that, right? I mean,
yeah. They are Doug is undeniably the best.
Yeah.
IMO.
Yeah.
They're the most decorated.
Yeah.
They are the 2 most decorated players in program history. There's absolutely, positively no doubt about that in my mind. First team Big East, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here for anybody who's listening. It's odd because the Big East does 6. They do a Player of the Year and then a 5-team.
So if you are the Player of the Year, you're not
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Kalk Player of the Year, and my 5-man all Big East team right now would I think you've got to put probably R.J. Luis on there from St. John's, probably Zuby Ejiofor from St. John's. Zuby will probably be the best center in the league next year when Kalk's gone. He'll have a little bit of competition from some young guys this year, but Zuby will probably be the best center in the league next year. So you have R.J. Luis, Zuby, Cam Jones. Oh my goodness, I just told someone this earlier today and completely forgot what I went with. Ashworth has a chance.
Yeah. For first team.
I'm missing one. Eric Dixon. That's my first team with Kalk as player of the year. That's pretty salty. That's a pretty solid team right there. Not just because I came up with it, but like, yeah, that would be pretty nice. I think that's how the Big East is going to play out. Pitino will probably win Coach of the Year. Who do you think Coach of the Year in the Big Ten is? Do you have one?
Greg Gard.
Yeah.
I think Izzo has
He's a national Coach of the Year candidate, right?
I mean, I think Izzo has a real case. Dusty May, I think you could make a really compelling case. I mean, that's an impressive job he did to flip Michigan from...
He just signed a contract extension.
Did he?
While we were recording, now.
Wow.
Like right now.
That means someone was calling him. So that means Indiana was on the phone is what that means.
That means Indiana was on the phone. Multi-year contract extension.
So, but I think he has a real case. My gut says Greg Gard. Wisconsin was picked to finish like 12th in the league this year, and they're one of the best teams. I think Greg Gard's done an incredible job with them, so he's my pick right now.
Here's today's pressing question. This is what we'll leave off on. I asked Greg McDermott today what his favorite – I wanted to keep it simple. They can't all be curveballs, otherwise you'll telegraph them, you know? Sometimes you got to throw the cheese. Give them the cheese. Yeah. What's your favorite meal?
Favorite meal.
That's it. What's your favorite meal?
Rigatoni.
Fire.
Yeah, like baked rigatoni, like in like a pan, you know, baked with like sauce and like sausage and a layer of cheese over it.
Okay,
that's what I eat on my birthday every year. My mom makes it.
Fire.
I'm not Italian at all, if you can't tell from looking at me.
No way. I thought you were.
But
the burbs of Minnesota, of Minneapolis, the burbs of Minneapolis. You're not Italian.
But yeah, that is what I have every year on my birthday.
Good to know.
It is fantastic.
Good to know. Yeah. Greg McDermott's a steak and potatoes, which
that checks
tracks.
out. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That tracks. Man, I do love a good steak. However, I'm from the East Coast, and my favorite meal has to be like fresh crab. Yeah. Like, this is going to be barbaric. Just like tearing into a crab, you know, snap the legs, get the meat out.
My mom is allergic to shellfish. So that was not part of, like, none of that was part of the rotation, like, of my, my dinners growing up.
That's tough. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a seafood boil on Half-Court Press one day. We'll just sit here and eat seafood while we do the pod.
Yeah. We've pitched a lot of ideas that have gotten rejected. Our idea to eat progressively hotter wings as we... an
original idea.
Yes, we definitely didn't steal that from anyone.
No.
The idea to do like LeBron and JJ Redick drink like nice glasses of wine while we... All of those ideas have gotten rejected, but hey, the seafood boil is worth a shot.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too messy. No way. You got anything else, Wilson?
I think we nailed it with that.
I don't know how we didn't. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Half Court Press. He's Wilson Moore. I'm John Walker. If you want to read all of his stuff, go over to omaha.com. If you want to read all of mine, go over to omaha.com. If you want to read, period, because why wouldn't you? Go over to omaha.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.